First to you. You worked with Odinga during the Grand Coalition government, and you know the man. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details of what awaits the man and the country ahead of the continent-wide campaigns, what can you tell us about the persona?
Good morning. I think what is important is to look at the context today of the African continent and the states and the nations that are there and how we expect they're going to behave towards Kenya's candidate, Mr. Odinga. I think Mr. Odinga is going to lose this election in Addis Ababa, and I think I'm the only one who thinks that. I think that across the board, everybody believes that he's going to win. I will be shocked if he gets even a slim majority. I think the candidate from Djibouti is going to win a landslide. And I'll tell you why. First, let me give you a little bit of a context on the African continent. I think there are three things that are happening in the continent. There's a rebellion of the youth, as you know, as we have it here in Kenya, across from Senegal all the way to the Sahel, all the way to Sudan. There is a popular national democratic revolution. I can't find any other word for it except revolution or transformation. And one of the major issues that young people are fighting over is because there's bad governance and terrible economy. And the way Africa is structured in the international political economy, it's set up to fail. Because I'll give you a simple example. For an example, in West Africa, there are countries that produce cocoa but cannot build a chocolate factory because they signed it off to the Swiss government. So what this produces is children crossing the Sahara, going to Europe to look for better prospects. In an ironic twist, the wealth that's there, it's already coming from where they're running away from. So there is a malaise on the African continent about transformation and change. And I predicted this on another station, and that change has come here in the form of General Z. And I think it's going to go all the way down to South Africa. Now, the people who are in charge of these nation states around the world have fundamental influence from the metropole. By the metropole, I mean there is this really neo-colonial words that are used for certain sections of Africa. For example, in West Africa, it's francophonie. It's influenced by the French.
Okay.
Then there is some parts that are called lusophone. And then there is the English-speaking ones.
Okay.
And so the AU is divided based on these fundamental tectonic plates. And one of the biggest influences of the AU is the French. Now, Amina, and I was a spokesman at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Chief of Staff there, we knew we were going to win. And then the French government intervened heavily in those elections. And we lost. We even had the support of Djibouti, this Djibouti that is standing here today.
Yeah.
One of the people who stabbed us in the back in that election. I think that the same scenario is what is going to happen in the AU. I think the French, the Sahel areas, major states in Central Africa are going to stand up to the candidature of Mr. Odinga and say no. Secondly, before I pass it on, is that I think this is the wrong move for Mr. Odinga. The question is whether or not in a continent where the 80% of the people are under 25, whether or not it serves the interest of the continent for us to have a man who's retiring in his 80s, whether he's going to have the energy, the vitality, and the gusto to understand and do the necessary issues that are supposed to be done about the youth bubble in our continent. Lastly, you know that the African Union has no teeth. It is a place where, for an example, I'll give you a simple example. There's been coups in the Sahel. And one of the most important provisions of the African Union is that if you do a coup, you're done. But most Africans support the coups in the Sahel, including their populations, because there has been massive exploitation of resources of the French Republic in the Sahel. For example, the French have the largest gold deposits in Europe, and they don't have gold in France, Ayub.